city. DC, that's where I'm from. 1130 podcast. Dre on wheels, he is the one. Let's get it. Yeah. Who with me? Let's get it. Yeah. No, with me. Yeah. I'm from the city. DC, that's where I'm from. Let's get it. 1130 podcast. Dre on wheels, he is the one.
He the one, nigga.
So let's get
it,
it,
baby. He the one.
Yo, what it do, everybody? It's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels. This is episode 50 of the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling. What's good, everybody doing out there? Appreciate you guys joining me back here for another episode of Talk Pro Wrestling. You dig? It's Friday. Everybody day is going. Good morning, good night, good afternoon to all my listeners all across the world. Appreciate you guys joining me back here for another exciting episode of Talk Pro Wrestling. It's been a crazy week, you guys. So, of course, I'm back here on Friday of Talk Pro Wrestling to talk my crap with wrestling, you guys. But I'm not alone, you guys. This week, I have an exciting guest, you guys. Man, he's not even too far away from me, you guys. As you know, I'm from DC. My guy who's joining me this week, he's a guest on the podcast. He's from Baltimore, Maryland, you guys. He's the host of Ofacewrestling. Yes, you guys, Ofacewrestling. His name is JT. He's going to be joining me here on the 1130 podcast, you guys. But before we get to this, you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, smash the notification bell, like it, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And also don't forget to follow the 1130 podcast on all social media platforms. But you guys, let's get to the show. It's episode 50, so we're going to do it big, you guys. We're coming off the heels of Wrestlemania and all that good stuff. But once again, my guest coming from Baltimore today, JT. How's it going, bro?
Pretty good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited to be here on Talk Pro Wrestling, man, chatting it up with you. Like I was saying before the podcast, man, you're from Baltimore, I'm from DC. I'm excited, you're the second guest I had on from Baltimore. So shout out to Pure Ignorance, who was on before from Baltimore. But yeah, man, this is going to be an exciting one, and it's going to be really fun to chop it up with you. But how's life treating you?
Life's been treating me pretty well. Busy work schedule, busy podcasting schedule. I'm always on the run. But how about you?
Man, this podcast is really just basically all I really do. So I just gotta like put my work into it and just go hard at it. So basically, it's been really really cool. That's basically the most of that though. But once again, JT, I appreciate you joining me here on the podcast. For my listeners and viewers who joining me this week, that's not familiar, you may tell them something a little about yourself, introduce yourself a little bit.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me on the show. So yeah, a little bit about myself. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a big women's wrestling fan, but I started out, as a fan in the 90s, and I was a big DX fan. And then as I got older into my early 20s, I became a really big fan of women's wrestling. Started out with, the AJ Lee and Paige era, and then, the Sasha Banks, Ember Moon. Love women's wrestling. I've gotten really into indies wrestling within the last year and a half. It started with going to MCW. I'm sure you heard of MCW, being around this area. Ever since then, I've been hooked on the indies, and it's to the point where I actually kind of prefer indies over, the mainstream wrestling. But I at the end of the day, I love it all. There isn't any company that I dislike, or favor over another. Just I like it all.
Yeah, man, that's really, really cool. You mentioned MCW. I've never been to an event, but I notice every time that I go to an event at the Capital One Arena, right after it, it's guys, passing around flyers for MCW and, seeing a lot of stuff over social media with MCW. Now that I follow them, and Leo Rush, of course, Velveteen Dream was there. How is it, because you've been there, but how is one of their shows?
It's pretty fun, honestly. The one thing I really like about their shows is their wrestlers are very engaging with the crowd. Before the shows even start, they're usually walking around just chatting it up with everyone. And that's what really kind of drew me in, because I love the fan interaction. So the wrestlers are really dope there. I will say that they don't really promote the women as much as I wish they did. They usually have one match per show,
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a women's wrestling fan, there's other promotions out there that, do it a little better, but their shows are fun, their tickets are a little bit more pricier than your average indie show, because, they're being MCW and having, all the wrestlers they've had there, they tend to be a little bit more pricier.
Okay. Cool. You said you got into wrestling. You say in the 90s, the early 90s. What was your first moments of wrestling, getting into wrestling?
I remember the first time I even saw it, Stone Cold was on TV, and I remember my granddad made a comment to my dad. He's like, "Oh, you're on TV," because my dad was bald, and so it was kind of like a little funny joke. But I can't remember when I first got into it. I just remember there was a lot of hype in elementary school. Like everyone was talking about it. They were talking about The Rock, Stone Cold, DX. So I just got into it and I fell in love with the DX. Like I thought they were so cool. Of course, everyone my age is going around school doing the socket thing, getting in trouble and stuff like that. But yeah, the one of my favorite, kind of storylines that I remember, because obviously that was like 20 years ago. My memory's a little foggy, but I really remember the Union rivaling with Ministry of Darkness. That was a storyline that I really like, still to this day. Like I'll get on YouTube and watch some of the clips. Like that's my favorite version of Undertaker, to be honest.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. I came into the wrestling, world in the late '90s. So I remember the old DX and the old Ministry of Darkness. My guy, of course, was The Rock. So everything him and Stone Cold did. I remember they edited it out on the network. So I guess it's because of the rights of the song that they could not do or have it on the network. But it was the moment that. Can't remember where they were at though, but The Rock and Stone Cold just going back and forth, just singing, and it ended in like a rock bottom or something like that. Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle came out. It was like, one of the favorite moments of my childhood of watching wrestling. But The Rock, man, was a big guy. A major reason why I got into wrestling and loved it for a long time though, even though he went on to, do movies and stuff. But yeah, man, you mentioned independent wrestling, and you talk about a lot of it on your podcast, Ofacewrestling. Can you tell my listeners and viewers what is Ofacewrestling?
All right, so Ofacewrestling, we're pretty simple. We literally all we do is post and chat about indies wrestling, women's indie wrestling. I really don't do much like WWE or AEW kind of stuff on there. I'm kind of one of those like quality person. I don't like to kind of like have this and that and this and that. Like that was the original plan of Ofacewrestling, is to cover as much as possible. But then I kind of started thinking like that's gonna be hard. It's gonna be overwhelming. I'm enjoying the indie stuff, and when I started interviewing like the women wrestlers, it became really addicting and it became really fun because I'm a really big fan. Chatting with some of your favorite wrestlers, like it's like a dream come true, kind of. Like I don't really necessarily take the interviews as me being a podcast or interviewing a wrestler. I look at it as just like having conversations. I'm learning a little bit about them. We're just having a good time having conversations. So that's kind of our focus, is like just featuring the women wrestlers. I like to feature a lot of women too that people may not know about, whether they're still in training or maybe they've had like a handful of matches. I don't really look necessarily for wrestlers who like have a big following. I'm not really looking to, like, with my show, it's not like about trying to turn it into like a job or make a financial profit out of it. It's more so just me having fun and just supporting, the women. Like that's all I want to do, and that's all it's ever been meant to be. It's grown bigger than I expected, so because of that, it can get a little overwhelming and time consuming, but it's still fun at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, that's what it's supposed to be, man. It's supposed to be fun. Just get on in and just chat and do your thing, man, the best way you can. What made you want to start the podcast?
Well, for years I would listen to podcasts and all on YouTube, and I don't know if you ever heard of like Going in Raw or No DQ. I became a fan of their podcast, and after like listening to them for a few years, I started thinking to myself like, this would be cool to do something like that. Like I would love to give myself like a platform just to chat wrestling, because here in Maryland, I really don't know many people that like wrestling, so I never really had anyone to talk to. So this seemed like a cool idea. So then I basically, like, I had left the job that I'd been working at. I was working like 60 plus hours a week. So I had some free time. So I actually originally, this podcast was supposed to be like a video game thing. I was gonna have like a YouTube channel and just like stream video games. And I created a Twitter to start it. And I just asked, like, how do you get your stuff on like, Spotify? And they told me about Anchor. And if you have used Anchor, you know how easy it is and very convenient. They literally posted on everything for you. So I just gave it a shot and I just did it. And I just saw how easy and convenient it was to record and put your stuff out there. And then it just went off from there.
Hey, that's cool. That's really, really cool, man. That's what it's all about, man. Starting something and keeping it going, man, especially like a passion that you love is wrestling. You have two awesome co-hosts that are women also of Ofacewrestling. And you talk highly of women in wrestling. How do you feel about women's wrestling now? The fact that it's, come a long way.
I mean, it's like you said, it has come a long way. Like back when I watched in the '90s, it was really just like bra and panties or like sex appeal and kind of stuff like that. So like being a young kid, I wasn't like in the at that point where I was like hot for women and stuff like that. So it just like, of course, I was like in DX, the Rock, Stone Cold, but then as I got, back in the wrestling, it was, during the Divas era. And I remember I was like a really big Kelly fan. And I really like, I wanted more for the women, but, just our brain was wired like this is what they do. And then when I saw Paige for the first time, I saw her like kicking butt. I was like, yeah, like, wow, like I want to see women start doing more. And then obviously they have main event at WrestleMania, Royal Rumbles, Elimination Chambers. They've come a long way, and it's awesome. It still feels like new. It feels fresh for the business. It's something different, and I feel like that's like the era we're in. Wrestling evolves, and it has changed throughout the decades. And I just feel like we're now in like the women's wrestling era where this is what fans want,
Yeah.
and it's not even about like the looks or anything like that. It's like seeing women go out there and do as good, if not better, than the men. It's entertaining, and I love it. And like I said, it's new. It's something that we didn't experience as young kids and stuff like that. So like, I want to see them. But I don't want like women main event and WrestleMania to be like a once every like 5-year thing. Like I hope it like can be like maybe they could do it again next year. That would be really dope.
Yeah, man, that'd be really, really dope, man. I asked that question, man, because I would like I said, I remember coming up watching wrestling, and it was just mainly, bra and panty matches. A couple of women who would stick out will be Trish, of course, Lita, Victoria, Jazz. Jazz just retired from wrestling. I think she was in Impact Wrestling, so she had a hell of a career. I really loved her when she was in WWE back in the days. Just a lot of women. And yeah, let this not be every once in a while thing. With the 2 night of WrestleMania, they kind of like pulled it off again this year because, well, the previous year the main event was Drew and Big Show, but the year before that was Charlotte, Becky and Ronda main event at WrestleMania. This need to be like a every year thing. And I'm looking forward to it because the women are here to stay and they're making history. So I'm really, really loving it though. But we're gonna move on here, you guys, on the podcast. As you guys may have heard last year, the whole Black Wednesday, where WWE released a whole lot of superstars, and 1 year later, it's like the 1 year anniversary. Did you hear about the superstars that WWE released this Thursday?
Yes, I did. My friend actually was texting me about it like shortly before I got on, your show. Like, I was very much surprised. Like, I didn't know this was a year to the day, honestly. Like, and I was surprised. Some of the names I wasn't surprised about. Some I were. Like, I did not expect Samoa Joe. Like, that was like the one big shocker that I, heard about. It's just, with him, it's weird because he's talented and I know he's been injured. I think it's concussion maybe, but he was doing commentary and he was doing great at it. So it kind of boggles my mind, like what kind of went on there.
Yeah, because Samoa Joe was the shocker when I seen his name. I heard they pulled him off of commentary to get back in the ring, and then hearing this that he got released. It's kind of like also sad for Billy Kay and Peyton Royce that they broke both of them up, who was good as the Iconics, and now Peyton Royce was just suffering. She pulled a passionate promo on Raw Talk not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, that she just wanted an opportunity, a chance, and as you can see, Billy Kay wanted a chance sticking her with Carmella at WrestleMania, just to have her there and have her shining. So it's really sad for a lot of them. And Tucker, with the old heavy machinery, and now what happened with Otis, is real sad that how they did that, and especially how last year, because a lot of guys, especially because the pandemic was really, really kicking in, so it's really, really crazy. But we're We're gonna move on, you guys, here on the podcast. You guys, you mentioned a lot of independent wrestling. Who is some independent women wrestlers that to be look out for in the future?
Since we were talking NCW, and I will mention the NCW Women's Champion, Gia Scott. She's actually a really good friend of mine in real life as well. So definitely young, 22, future, bright future ahead of her. You being a DC person, of course, Trisha Dora. I'm sure you know about her. Like, she's actually starting to become a really big name. As far as like some names you may not know about just yet, Danny B from Texas. She's been, she's within her first year, and she's actually been, pretty successful so far. Let me give you one more name because there's so many to think about. Why not? I'll throw out there. She's from New York, Anastasia Morningstar. She has kind of like similar to Bray Wyatt, demonic kind of character. I saw her live for the first time in July. I love it. I love the character. I don't know if you're familiar with her or not, but she's someone to definitely look out for.
Okay, cool. Because here on the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling, I try to shine the spotlight on a lot of independent, pro wrestlers, especially, women wrestlers, because hey, the women need shine also, not just the men, stuff. Do you feel like it should be more women versus men in the wrestling game?
I mean, I'm fine with it. I do like intergender wrestling. We don't see it too often. I mean, some independent promotions don't, some do it. I know here in Maryland, it's actually like illegal apparently. Like, you can't do intergender wrestling at all. So I know every state is different. I saw it for the first time live in DC actually when I went right before the pandemic, and I thought it was really fun. I would love to see more of it. I don't know if we'll ever see too much of it at all in like mainstream, like WWE and stuff like that. Cause I know, there of course be a lot of controversy, how dare they, and how dare they this, and so, I mean, I want to see more of it, but I feel like it's always going to be kind of more of like a indies kind of thing than, mainstream.
Okay. I mean, do you think it's possibilities for it to be on mainstream with, a little bit of AEW kind of testing it out? And I know you say you focus more on the independent, but do you feel like it could be a thing? Like, do you see, you say you enjoy it, but do you feel like it could be something?
I would like it to be more of a regular thing. I just know whatever company does it will probably have to tread a little carefully, but Impact did it. AEW probably will do it. I just don't know if they'll ever make it like a regular thing. If they do, I think that would be awesome.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. I would like to see more of it. You got a lot of guys. It'd be cool to see. We saw not too long ago Sasha and the guy Reginald or whatnot. Having a cool matchup on SmackDown. It was an intergender match, and I thought it was cool. You got a lot of talent. That could be used, and I think it will get boring if the same people just keep facing over and over, especially like the women. And I know that's really hard. One hard thing for the women on the independent scene, that it's not a lot of women, and it don't get spotlighted a lot. And if they are wrestling the same person almost every other weekend, if not that. So so I would love to see it. I really do. Well, you guys, man, we're going to try to get JT back here in just a bit. He's having some technical difficulties, you guys. But, man, it's exciting to have my man JT from Baltimore, Maryland here on the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling. Like you guys, man, I was talking earlier with JT, man, just before the pandemic, man. My first SmackDown was in Baltimore, Maryland, man. I met MVP. It was actually a house show, and I was going there, and I was thinking, man, I can't wait to see the Fist, Titantron. I ain't never seen that. I wanted to see that one. I always wanted to see the Oval, but no, man. I get there, and I was realizing it was a house show. This one, I'm still green. I'm new. I didn't know no pyro, so I was like, oh wow. So we going to one of them shows, But yeah, man, you had to buy a DVD at one of the stores to get an autograph signing by which MVP was there, and Matt MVP was great, man. So Man, Baltimore, man, has always stuck out, and it's always, been a wrestling town. If WCW has some dope moments, great iconic moments there. Sting, Ric Flair, a lot of them guys back in there, and just in WWE in general. Just another, just in WWE in general, in Baltimore in general. You guys, I think I'm having JT back. JT, man. I was saying, JT, man, how was WrestleMania? Did you enjoy WrestleMania?
Oh, what was that? I wasn't able to catch it live due to my work schedule. The first match I did watch when I got off of work the very next day was, of course, the Sasha and Bianca match, which was everything I expected to be. And I'm glad that they really delivered, because obviously the women's main event match 2 years ago, a lot of people were disappointed with this, but of course, Sasha Banks will never disappoint. She can 5-star match anyone. And this was, the best way to end the show too. It was the good feel good moment that everyone wants. Of course, at WrestleMania, no one wants to, end the show with a sour taste in their mouth. So I feel like they did right there. At the end of the day, I feel like they overall did very well with WrestleMania. I was very happy with a lot of the outcomes. Like, I was happy Bobby retained. I'm fine with Nia and Shayna retaining as well, and I'm even fine because I know some people are irritated, like the Riot Squad didn't get the title match. Tamina and Natalia, rather than put the Riot Squad against them when they're actually going to put the titles on them and stuff like that. And the Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton match, it was good. A lot of people are kind of complaining that it's like a little too hokey and stuff like that. Me being a 90s kid, I like that kind of stuff because that is the stuff you saw in the 90s and stuff like that. And then what other, of course, the Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman match, I was really excited that they actually did something really, crazy with Braun throwing Shane out the top of the cage. I figured they would do some kind of crazy stunt. I literally just skipped through that match just to watch that one part. I'm like, yeah, I want to see Shane, do something, insane like he always does. But I mean, what about you? How do you feel about WrestleMania?
To be honest with you, WrestleMania was cool. I really enjoyed the 2-night spectacular. I see when they announced that WrestleMania for next year, they didn't give a date, so they may keep the 2-night thing going on. But WrestleMania to me, it's like Christmas. It's you can't wake up twice. Two days out of a year it'd be Christmas. So I love it. The one night fact of it, WrestleMania was dope. I love the fact that Bianca Belair won. I was kind of rooting for Sasha. I thought Sasha, this was her moment. She had a dope run right now. It was a little too early for Bianca, but hey, they had to go ahead and pull the trigger on her just to see if she got it. If she gonna shine, at this time right now. But Sasha seems to be really proud of her, proud of Rhea Ripley. Everything about Mania was really great. I really loved the Seth Rollins and Cesaro match. I thought that match was very entertaining. And he swung him 23 times, so he beat his time with swing. What else? It was really cool. The whole Bray Wyatt thing was okay. I just didn't like how it ended like that. It looks like I was talking to like a friend. Seems like Alexa Bliss is basically going to create like a character or bring in a character who's either going to be like a rivalry against Bray Wyatt or something. I thought they was going to go into that more on Raw because Raw sucked ass this Monday. Like, you were thinking it was going to be, exciting Raw after WrestleMania, I know, during the pandemic, but yeah, they didn't really go into that. But even though she had introduced a new friend, so WrestleMania was cool. It was really, really cool. Apollo, new champion. I'm loving it. I'm loving everything. So WrestleMania was dope. Bad Bunny. What was your thoughts on Bad Bunny?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, like I knew about Bad Bunny because at my work, a lot of my coworkers, they're big Bad Bunny fans. So I didn't know he was actually a really big wrestling fan. So obviously he took it really serious. He was really excited. So I think that was pretty cool. I will say the one thing about WrestleMania is it felt kind of off this year, even though I was excited for it. It didn't have a lot of the big names that you typically have, and I get it, the pandemic. but like you didn't have, this is like the second year in a row we didn't have Triple H. The first time since Lesnar came back, you know, that he wasn't there, there was no Goldberg, stuff like that. So the star power wasn't there. So I was kind of like, part of me was glad that they're focusing on their actual like active full-time guys versus, you know, bringing in all these part-timers and all kind of stuff. But you know, when you really think about it, they're running out of part-timers. Like they're like Undertaker's retired, Angle's retired, Batista's done now.
Yeah, you're right. Wasn't no star power. That was one thing. No John Cena. I was talking to Sir Wilkins from the Jobber Cheers podcast. Do you feel like WrestleMania is going to bring in, or the WWE is going to bring in, you know, big stars, you know, or are they going to look forward to that, or are they going to try something? Because no John Cena, like you said, no Brock, no Goldberg, no Triple H, no Undertaker, he's gone, you know, no Kane, none of these guys. So, you know, it's nothing but towards the future. And, you know, and I thought it was cool. I like the unpredictable start with the old rain delay, first ever rain delay. So it was pretty cool. I think I wish they could had it some way where the fans could see the Tron board of the Raymond James Stadium, because when they came on both nights, it looked a bit sluggish, you know. I mean, if you're a fan like I am, if you know, once they come on air after the intro and the fans see themselves, they're going crazy, they're going nuts. So it's like the fans didn't see themselves, they like, what's going on here? So it kind of had that little, you know, and then night two kind of like was weird, but night one was great. But I loved it. WrestleMania, we passed it. Another thing I did not like the fact that, you know, the next Monday night on Raw sucked. I'm not even gonna get into that. The only thing about it was the fact that the next night, I didn't like that they had the focus right on the next pay-per-view called WrestleMania Backlash. Like, why does it need to call WrestleMania Backlash? We get it that it's the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania, which it normally been for a while, but you know, I didn't get it, you know, just to come out of that and have the main event determine who's going to take on Bobby and Drew wins it. Like, so, hey, WrestleMania was cool in my opinion.
Everyone has something to say, a story to tell. We make it easy to share yours. So let's talk.
Regardless of your podcast setup, hit record. And from there, whether your podcast reaches 10 people or 10 million, we can help you get heard wherever listeners are.
And who knows, maybe even quit your day job.
But no matter who hears you, it's about connecting and sharing something from your perspective.
It's about having a voice and using it without anything standing in your way. Say it all with Anchor.
Man, Ofacewrestling, I really dig the podcast, man. I really dig the whole dynamic and everything that you guys do at Ofacewrestling. Before you go, man, can you tell my listeners and viewers, man, when you guys' new episodes drops and everything, and where they can catch it and how they can catch it?
Yeah, thank you so much. So we drop a new episode every Friday. Sometimes if we have 2 episodes in a week, we'll drop another one on Tuesday as well. You can find us on YouTube. We're on Anchor and Spotify and all that stuff. You know, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. All you gotta do is just search Ofacewrestling and we'll pop up.
Okay, man. Ofacewrestling. I dig it. Man, one question. If you could have anybody on your podcast, future or past pro wrestler, who would it be?
Ember Moon.
Why Ember Moon?
The reason for that is why Ember Moon? Our podcast is called Ofacewrestling. So Ember Moon, her finisher, the Eclipse, back when she was on the independent circuit, that finisher, the Eclipse, was actually called O-Face. So her finisher inspired the name of our podcast. Originally, it was going to be Eclipse Wrestling, but there was actually a Facebook page called Eclipse Wrestling, so I didn't want to copy off someone. So then I thought of, well, hey, it was called O-Face back in the day. I couldn't find anything called Ofacewrestling on the internet, so I was like, boom, here we go.
Hey, man, that's what's up. Well, JT, shout out to you. Shout out to your co-host. All the women out there, keep doing your thing in wrestling. I know it's a crazy business. Before you go, any shout outs, any questions for me, anything you'd like to say?
I just want to give a shout out to just all the women wrestlers in general. And shout out to, once again, my buddy, great friends of the show. A Wrestling Gal, and also DDT Divas. She's from DC. I don't know if you heard of her, but yeah. And also shout out to you. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk wrestling on your show. It was definitely really fun.
Man, no problem, man. I can't wait to have you back on. Shout out to Ofacewrestling, the Ofacewrestling podcast for everybody, man. Go check it out on Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts, you guys. Go subscribe and listen to Ofacewrestling podcast, you guys, man. For real. JT, thank you once again for joining me this week on the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling. Stay safe, man, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You do the same. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yo, man, what an episode. What an episode, you guys. With my man JT from Ofacewrestling Podcast. Yo, shout out to the whole Ofacewrestling Podcast. I appreciate JT and I appreciate you guys just rocking with the 1130 podcast, man. And also JT stopping past here on the show. It was a great time, guys. I want to say I apologize for the technical difficulties this week here. We had a little trouble on JT's end, you guys, but hey, man, we got the interview with him. I can't wait to have you back on. We're gonna fix that all up, man, and we're gonna talk some more, man. Wrestling is really cool. How your podcast was really inspired, by Amber Moon, or I didn't know, I didn't really before me starting this wrestling podcast, man, I didn't really get into a lot of the independent wrestling. Like I knew it, but I'm like, I watch Ring of Honor. I watch, I don't know if you want to call it Impact or TNA independent or whatever, but maybe. But, I would watch Ring of Honor. I did really love Ring of Honor. And I think this is maybe, I don't even know when IWTV came out, but yeah, man, now that I'm on it, I catch it. I love Game Changer Wrestling. Man, it's a lot of them, out there. And now, like I said, we're doing the podcast. I try to connect and reach out to a lot of independent referees, ring announcers. That's like my slogan of the show, because that's where it's at, man. You want to start from the ground up. You really want to start from the ground up. But man, this has been an awesome show. Chatting it up with you guys here this week on the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling, and also with my man JT, man, from the Ofacewrestling Podcast. Man, I was also mentioning my man about the Black Wednesday 1 year anniversary, man. How crazy that is, you guys. The whole list, man. Chelsea Green, man, wasn't she supposed to be like a star that they was looking towards in NXT or whatnot? But yeah, Wesley Blake. Wesley Blake was part of the Forgotten Sons. I was digging the Forgotten Sons. You feel me? Like, and it was all until I guess the head man of it. I can't even think his name. He's with Elias right now on Monday Night Raw. But until Jackson Riker, he said something, and that's when the whole group just went south or whatever. Like, and in a way, they brought him up too soon from NXT. I was having this chat, a couple of weeks ago with the Dirty Hills, man. A lot of people who come up from NXT just don't, it just doesn't work with them on the main roster, whether that's Vince or whether the, creative or whether that's their self, but it's really crazy, man. It really is. Kalisto. So you telling me Grand Metalik and let's say Dorado's still here and they got rid of Kalisto? I mean, I like the Kalisto than the other ones, but I mean, hey, Tucker, like I was saying with my man JT, man, what happened to Heavy Machinery? They were cool tag team. Then last year, the storyline was hot with Otis and Mandy Rose. They went there, had a cool WrestleMania moment with Otis captured the woman. And, he got the briefcase a little bit later on, but everything just fell flat right there. It just fell flat, and it's sad. That's why SmackDown tag team titles wasn't a part of WrestleMania because they don't have no tag teams on SmackDown. Like, come on. Like, man, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, like I said, man, feel so bad for her. Peyton Royce wanted more. Billy Kay wanted more too. She did any and everything to be relevant. They always say, man, whether you got 30 seconds or whether you got 60 seconds, that time is yours on TV and make the best of it. And Peyton Royce, they both have what they could do. But Billy Kay has made the most of it of them all, going out there on SmackDown and, hey, you're going to be my tag team partner. Hey, you're going to be, and just entertaining and have people talking. And that's all about. That's what it's all about. So, man, The Iconics was good. Iconic. man. And the headliner of them all, you guys, Samoa Joe. Yes, he was not a part of Monday Night Raw this Monday. And I was like, I heard that the Samoa Joe would be coming back to the ring, you guys. And no, that wasn't the case at all. He did not come back to the ring. He got released. Man, like that was the shocker. Now John Laurinaitis, he's part of Head of Talent yesterday when the whole releases happened, man, and they doing the budget cut again. It's crazy. It's really crazy, man. And Joe just can't get it going. Joe can't get it going, man. But you guys, man, this has been an exciting episode of Talk Pro Wrestling. Man, like I was saying with my man JT, once again, WrestleMania was pretty dope. No star power, of course. I want to see where they go with that. I want to see how it goes, but it seems like my man JT said, they're looking towards the future and the future talent that they have on the main roster right now. Like I said, we have no Undertaker, no Kane, no Triple H, no Brock Lesnar, no Undertaker, no nothing. So, I mean, hey, but WrestleMania overall, you guys, I enjoyed it. Bad Bunny was the MVP of WrestleMania. You know, like I knew he was a fan. I mean, I knew he was a fan before he came on TV. I knew he was a fan. Let me slow down. I knew he was a fan. I knew he was a fan when he had the song Booker T. Like, if you shout out to my guy, man, Black, man, from Dallas, Texas, BWO, man. It's available right now. Go check it out, you guys. Man, when you are a music artist or whatever, and you put out a song that called Ric Flair or Woo or Booker T or whatever whatever it is. Look at Migos, man. When they had Ric Flair in the video, they were a fan. So you know that they are a fan. And for Bad Bunny was just on a fan on a different level. You feel me? On a different level, and he put everything on hold to come there, and it really stuck out that I knew he was a fan, like over the top fan, when I seen him for a whole month straight on Monday Night Raw. Like, usually if you see a celebrity, they maybe there or whatever, you'll see him one week, maybe the other week or whatever like that. But hey, I love the fact he was there every week, whether he wasn't or not, pre-taped it or whatever. It doesn't make a difference. He was there. And, I love the hard work he put in. Shout out to Bad Bunny, man. He did his thing. So he did his thing. He was the MVP of WrestleMania. The main event of night one, I feel like Sasha Banks should have won. I know a lot of people may be upset with that decision or whatnot. She was on a roll. She was on a really, really good roll. I feel like it should have been, Charlotte came down with the whole been positive for the coronavirus. That kept her off WrestleMania. That was out of her control, as she said on Monday Night Raw. I would have loved and like Charlotte said, like, she is the blueprint. That's where you make your name at. I feel like it should have been Sasha who won the Royal Rumble, who went on at WrestleMania to take the title from Bayley. She was the unsung, basically, co-host of WrestleMania. And she outshined Titus O'Neil and Hogan, who looked like they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Titus was too worried about getting wet. Hogan was just trying not to say the N-word or whatever. But, it should have been, Charlotte versus Bianca Belair. And that would have been Bianca's Belair rematch from when Charlotte took on Bianca in NXT the year prior. When Charlotte came down there thinking she was bossing shit around and she was beating people, she didn't even go there. If you leave it up to Bianca, she didn't even go there. So it would have been great to see Bianca versus Charlotte at WrestleMania, have her get her, big win, and boom. Then the prior year, next year, she get that, win. But hey, she got it this year. That was cool. And I would have loved to see Bayley and Sasha, that rivalry, milk itself out. But they cut it short right in October, or whatnot. So, hey, I love WrestleMania. Like I said, Seth Rollins, Cesaro, another show stiller. Man, like I said, JT, man, I had JTG on the show, you guys. So I'm trying not to say JTG, but my man JT, Matchup was you love the fact that the cage match, Braun Strowman, you guys, and Shane McMahon. I thought it was cool. I already knew they was gonna throw somebody off the top of a cage or something. You dig? You know, like they couldn't go in the audience and stuff like that. So I knew they was gonna do something like that, man. So other than that, man, WrestleMania was off the chain, man. It was off the chain. Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn. That was dope. Sheamus getting the U.S. title championship title back. That was cool. Apollo, shout out to Apollo winning the title, man. I'm on to it. I love the fact that he brought in, I can't even think of the guy, but he played in the main event, you guys. That was on Netflix. And the Miz played in it, everything. He was like that. And he was, a big star when the whole Raw Underground. So, hey, so that's pretty cool. I love what they're doing with Apollo, man. And the Fame, really, man, if they don't figure this out, man, oh man, like you just want to give up, but you love it so much. But a lot of people already given up on WWE, man. It's just can't do it no more. Can't do it. Hey, but you know what, man? I think that's about it for this week, man. WrestleMania been off the chain. NXT was off the chain this past week, you guys. I love the iconic and beautiful moment that Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Raquel Gonzalez had at NXT on Tuesday, which was a huge success this past week on Tuesday. They have all of them come out and, just hold up their belts, you feel me? Like, man, because you don't see a lot of talent succeed on the main roster after leaving NXT. So we'll see, man. We will see where everything goes and where everything lies, especially tonight on Friday Night SmackDown. I'm looking forward to it, man. The Tribal Chief, man, he had to do his thing and lay the business down at WrestleMania. He stacked them bodies, man. He had to stack them. You heard what he said. I'm going to stack them, elite, and that's it. So I'm looking forward to SmackDown tonight, you guys. Hey, oh man, it's going to be exciting. My man JT mentioned MCW. Shout out to MCW, Maryland Championship Wrestling. If you're in the area, I don't think they got events right now going on right now. They maybe do, but hey, just follow MCW, guys, on social media. Figure that out. But yeah, I gotta go to a show. Definitely gotta go to a show. Man, it's been exciting, man. I'm about to get on out of here for real, you guys, man. But before I do, don't forget, you guys, to follow the 1130 Podcast on all social media platforms. You guys, follow me on Twitter at Dre on Wheels. Follow me on Instagram at the 1130 Podcast. Like the 1130 Podcast on Facebook. Subscribe. Yes, subscribe to the 1130 Podcast on YouTube. You dig? Yes, like it. Leave a comment. Yes, leave a comment, man, for real, so I know what you think. And don't forget to share it so we can get the 1130 Podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling, and the 1130 Podcast up and out there even more, you guys. And yo, if you're listening on Spotify, follow me, hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star rating and a review. Please tell me what you think, man, so I shout you out and all that good stuff, you guys, for real. And if you would like to be a guest here on the podcast, man, hit me up on social media, for real. Hit me up on social media. Hey, and if you dig what I'm doing, if you would like to be a guest here and come feel the vibe, hey, you know what time it is, man. It's been a dope show, man, for real. Shout out to Baltimore. Shout out to the DMV, DC. Y'all know how we get down. Man, great episode of Talk Pro Wrestling, you guys, man. And yo, don't forget, you guys, to catch a new episode of the documentary series of My Life, Dre Life documentary series on the 1130 Podcast YouTube channel this Sunday. And don't miss an all-new episode of the 1130 Podcast streaming this Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on EB Radio and YouTube. Until next week, you guys, it's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels, and I'm out.
I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. 1130 Podcast, Dre on Wheels, he is the one. Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Let's get it, yeah. No, with me, yeah. I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. Let's get it. 1130 Podcast, Dre on Wheels, he is the one. He the one, nigga. So let's Breeze, baby. He the one. With me, so Breeze, baby. Let's get it. You with me. Yeah, they gon' hate, but they ain't stopping this. I'ma keep making hits, Dre on Wheels.